Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to learn what is decision making in C Sharp. So let's get started. Let's understand what is decision making. Decision making statement contain condition that evaluated by program. If the condition is true, then set of statements are executed. And if the condition is false, another set of statements is executed. There are many decision making in C sharp, such as if statements, if else statements, if else statement, switch statements, etc. Let's understand each of them one by one. Let's start with if statements. The if statement is the main decision making in C sharp. The flow of control in the if statement is specified using flow diagram. If we look at the diagram, statements in the body of if are executed if the statements evaluate to true. Otherwise, these statements are skipped from here and control passes to the next statement after the if construct. Let's look at the syntax of if statement. This is how our state this is how our expression sorry this is the syntax of if statement. If, then we have expression inside, and then we have two curly braces, and in between them we have a quote. This statement will be executed if the expression evaluates true. Let's look this with an example in Visual Studio. Let's start with if statement. The expression to use the if statement, we need to declare a variable. Let's declare a variable of integer. Let's say a is equals to 10, and then we have if statement if a has the value of 10, and in between the two curly braces we need to add our piece of code. So we are going to read this. We are going to write in console class in writeLine method, value of a is 10, and then we are going to read in our console application console by using console.readLine method, and now we'll run our application. Here we go. This is the value of a is 10. This is our if statement. Now let's look at our another statement, that is if else statement. The if else statement is the modification of if statement. The flow of control if else is specified using the following diagram. If we look at the diagram, statements body of if are executed if the statement evaluate to true. Otherwise, statements in the body of else is executed after the if the otherwise body of else of the code is executed when the if condition does not meet, and it goes through this block statement if construct block, and that it passes to the control to the next statement after that is if else construct. Let's understand this within an example. So here let's use this one if else statement. Let me show you the syntax of if else statement. This is This is the expression of if else statement. Here we have if expression and we have two curly braces in which we have a quote. This statement will be executed if the expression evaluates to true. If this is going to be true, then this piece of code will be executed. Else, this statement will be executed if the expressions evaluate to false. Let's understand this within an example in our Visual Studio. So, for this we need to have variable integer a is equals to 10. If a has the value of 10, let's write down here 5, then console.writeLine value of a is 5. In our else block, else console.writeLine, let's write it down, value of a is 10. If this condition is going to meet, this piece of code will be executed. Otherwise, it will go to the else block and then it's going to give us this value. Let's run our application. Here we go. The value of a is 10. This statement has came here because when we run our program, this piece of code is executed to the requirement a is equals to 10. Now let's understand the another if statement. Here we have another statement if, else statement. The if statement can also followed by if, else if and else construct. This is very useful in testing multiple conditions. If we have a if expression 1, then we have a piece of code. This code will be executed if the expressions evaluate to true. And then we have else if expression 2. This statements will be executed if the expression 2 evaluated to true. And then we have else if expression 3. This statement will be executed if the expression 3 evaluated to true. Otherwise, it's go to the else block. This statement will be executed if the expressions evaluated to be false. Let's understand this piece of syntax within an example in our Visual Studio. Let's remove all this code so we can write a new code for you. If, else, if, else. For this, let's declare variable integer. Let's say integer a is equals to 10 again, and then if. Let's say if a has the value of 1, then print this code, that is console dot write line value of a is 1. Then we have another expression using else if statement. If a has the value of, let's say, 5, and then run this piece of code, console dot write line value of a is 5. Then we can have another block of if else statement. Let's say if expression a has the value of, let's say, 10, console dot write line value of a is 10. For now, let's change the value of 10 to maybe, let it be, let me do it. Else, this is the last block. Here we are going to write it down. Console dot write line. In this piece of code, we are going to write down value of a is not 1 or 5 or 10. To read this code, we need to have console dot readline method. Now let's run our application. The value of 10. So this expression has been used. Let me change this expression value of a to, let's say, 1. Then run our application. Here we go. Then we have value of 1 is value of a is 1 is printed for us. Let's print some the number, like let's say 11. When we run our program, this will come to the else block, which has not met the expression, which is value of a is not 1 or 5 or 10. Now let's go to the another statement, that is switch statement in C sharp. The switch statement is required to test a variable value against a list of value. Each of the values is defined with a case, and if none of the value is matched against the variable value, then default clause is used. Look at the diagram. We have if conditions, then case 1, 2, 3. For the 1, this block the piece of code and it will go to the final answer. Then similarly we have case 2 and then case 3 and the default work. If none of this matches, then it will come to the default block. Let's look at the syntax of switch statements. This is the syntax of switch statement. Here in the switch statement, we have to write down our expressions, and then we have a case constant value statements, and then we use break, and then another case constant value statements, and then we have a break, and this the third case we have constant value statements and then break, and then finally we have our default statements. Let's understand this with an example. Switch statement. For the switch statement, we have to use the keyword called switch, and then we have to have our expression. Before we begin this, we need to declare a variable. Let's declare in character, and then let's give a name as a grade, which is equals to, in a single quote, A. And then we have say something. So here we go. Just give me a minute. Switch, and then we have to add our expression, that is grade. Our expression is grade. A is equals to A. We have passed the value of grade here, and then let's have our cases. Let's say case A semicolon, sorry for this, And then we have to write down our piece of code here. Console dot write line. So we need to add here the single quote line. Let's say wonderful. So we need to use the break keyword to remove the red squiggly line. Okay. So case A, console.writeLine. If it is grade A, then we have to print wonderful. And then we use break statement for the next case. If it is B, then console console. Sorry, we need to use semicolon for this, and then console dot write line. If it is B, then let's say good enough. If the grade is B, and then let's use the keyword break, and let's go to the case, and the case, let's say C. This is the syntax of our switch statement, then console dot write line, and then we use for the C, let's give perform better. Let's use semicolon, and let's use break. And then let's say case D, semicolon, console dot write line. If it is D, let's say not good enough. Let's break our statement using break block, and then we have case E, console dot write line. Let's say you failed. And let's use default statement, default semicolon. If it is not going to match any of this one, then we have to give a default value console.writeLine, and it's going to be saying invalid choice. And then we use break. To read this one, we need to have our console.readLine method. Console.readLine method. Okay, I just want to change your line. Here we go. Now let's run our program. Here we have grade. We have seen A. Now let's run our program. So it's gave us a wonderful. Let's change it to maybe C. If it is C, sorry, it's a cap. If you look here, I have entered I've entered a lowercase, so it's given us the invalid choice. It's gone to the default block and this gave us the invalid choice. Let's change this grade to capital C and let's see how it's work. Here we go. We have performed better. For the C block, if you look at the C block, we have performed better. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to the video.